Hi, I'm Bob Hillerin, CTO Bob, and today I have the pleasure of unboxing a WatchGuard. It is a firewall, a T40, and that's the model that I recommend the most. It replaces the T35 and the T30 before that. If you remember, in some of my past videos I showed an XTM26 model. These are still around somewhat, and they're a few generations older, so if anybody still has one of these, now is definitely the time to switch it out to a T40. Please, if you'd like to encourage us, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. So let's go ahead and open this box and take a look. So we've got the usual packaging. It looks very much like in the past. Quite easy to open these types of boxes. So we have the quick start guide. Just for information, this is actually useful because it does come pre-configured somewhat, and what you need to know is you need to know the IP address that it is at. So it's 10.0.0.1. 10.0.1.1 on port 8080. Alright, so in the box what we'll find is the unit. We'll take a look at it in a moment. And the power supply. And the wire. And some stickers with serial numbers of the unit. There is also a single green network cable, which I'm assuming is a 5E. By the looks of it, I can take a quick look to see. And it would actually be written CAT on here somewhere. It does say CAT 5E right here. I don't know if you can read that, but generally I recommend using 6 or 6A. If you're in an environment where you have a lot of magnetic interference, you can even go and use something called an STP cable, which is a shielded twisted pair, instead of these types of cable, which are UTP unshielded. And of course, if you are in an environment where you have a lot of humidity, for example production environment, then you can also use type of cables that are rated for outside, for outdoors, and this way they will survive much of your excessive humidity. For example, if you're in a production plant that produces meat or types of products like that, where you'd have naturally a lot of cleaning as well that goes on in these places, and you like to spray everything at night to disinfect, then definitely you want to make sure that you get the proper cables for that. So let's go ahead and put these aside. The only thing I will mention before I do that is show you what the end looks like. So we've got a normal power cable on this end, and this is what the power connector looks like. So we're going to go ahead and unpack this. So the front of it has a lot of lights. If we were to compare it to the XTM models from the past, I mean, take a look at the size of this. As you see, they're actually getting bigger. And there's a reason for this. They have a lot more power. There's nothing on the sides, so the sides are empty. It's just ventilation. It's plastic. And what we've got in the back is you'll find there is a port, basically serial port here on the left, which is not really going to be used. I've never had to use one of these on WatchGuard products. You have USB ports, and what's interesting here are the ports. These are gigabit ports. As you can tell, it's written 10, 100, 1000. You've got one, this is new to these models, you have one with PoE, that's power over Ethernet. And that's if you have a camera or you have something that needs power, you can get it from this unit directly. So for example, in one of our videos we had an A40 access point that we reviewed a while back. Well, this would power that. So these devices that use PoE are getting power directly from this unit, meaning that they have a single wire Ethernet cable, 5E category 6, category 6A, plugged into here, and this will not only provide connectivity back to your network, but it will also power them. And that's what this PoE is. Now for the rest, as you can tell, they do say WAN, so wide area network, and the rest are for LAN, local area network. So this would be going out to your ISP, so your internet provider, and these would be internal. With these devices, what you can do is you can have more than one ISP. So if you had 2 internet providers, then you could reserve one of the other ports. Why would you do that? Well, if you have provider A that goes down, there's some kind of emergency breakage in the system, whatever happens, then this unit will be smart enough, you can program it to switch over to the secondary provider. You can also set it up that if it detects that there is lag on one, it could switch automatically. In some cases, it's not ideal for some environments where they need to have a static IP address, for example. In some environments, it really doesn't matter. If you have a lot of users that go off to the internet, send, receive email, then it's not a problem. You just want connectivity. So you've just got to program this to suit your needs. So again, it's really simple. The rest is you got an on-off button. Do not, under any circumstance, press the reset button without understanding what it does. So it will reset the unit. So what you want to do is, turn it off, turn it on, and that's it. The configuration of these can be done through a browser, and there is also an application from WatchGuard that you can use to manage these. So let's talk a little bit about the speed of this versus the outgoing model T35. So the T40, I've seen 2 conflicting numbers online depending on whether you're reading their PDF or whether you're reading their website, but they're telling you that this firewall can handle 3.4 gigabits per second as opposed to the old T35, which was 940 megabits per second. Now keep in mind that this is sort of a raw speed. If you're looking at doing VPN, this unit will actually support 30 mobile VPN clients. The outgoing model, the T35, could only go up to 25. Now keep in mind that this unit is ideally suited to about 20 users, as was the previous model. If you were to do VPN, the speed of that specifically is 880 megabits per second. For the old one, it was 560 megabits per second. So you can see how the improved hardware for the same price, or slightly higher, will give you more bang for your buck. The other thing as well that you look at when you look at speeds and feeds on these things is when you're talking about things like antivirus. What are the services? Well, the antivirus on here, if it you put it on and it's scanning, can go up to 586 megabits per second. So that is its maximum. And on the T35 is 325. So you can kind of tell. Another general number that they throw in there is the UTM, which is basically the overall raw number when services are turned on. For this unit is 300 megabits per second, and for the old one it was 278. So that's very similar for that specific number. The other thing too is when you get a newer unit, you are future-proofing yourself. Why? Because at some point you do, in WatchGuard's case particularly, they do introduce more features. They will do things like purchase other companies. They'll bring in some of that technology in. They'll develop new techniques, new countermeasures to whatever comes out next. And they need to keep adding things to the boxes. The way they do this is they keep providing us with newer firmware. As the units get old, for example, if you had an old XTM, and one of the reasons, even if it's still working well, is I can't get this model to get the very latest firmware, and I can't, even if I were able to, it wouldn't be able to run all of the latest additional functionality that they've included in those firmwares. So to recap, if you're a small firm, you have up to about 20 users, or if you've got remote offices, in case of remote offices, you can plug this, create a office-to-office VPN, and you'll then connect it back to your head office. And at that point, you'll have seamless integration of one network to the other. So you'd be able to do things like print somewhere back at the head office. You'll be able to hit those servers as well and have the connectivity. So this is a great workhorse to get. I thank you very much for watching. Please, as I mentioned, it really helps us out if you subscribe.